Hello, and welcome to the From Nature to Nurture podcast. I am your host, Danielle, and we are here today with our 12th episode. Today, we have an interview with one of my herbalist friends, Nico, and I actually met her years ago just through Instagram, just stumbling upon each other and formed a bond, have a lot of really similar worldviews and obviously passion for the plants and community. And I share about it a little bit in the actual interview, but I have actually interviewed her before for a blog many, many years ago. So it was really nice to chat with her again. So let's introduce our guest for today. Nico Lebreux is a queer neurodivergent community herbalist, self-care advocate, and herbal apothecary owner who operates Wild Heart Herb House in New Bedford, Massachusetts, on unceded territory of the Wampanoag Nation. Introducing others to herbalism and sharing how plants can benefit your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health is their passion. In Nico's offerings, there are no expectations and no judgments. She holds space for her students to strengthen their intuition, commune with the earth, and connect with source energy, whatever that looks like and feels like for them. So here we go. I hope you love Nico as much as I do. Welcome, Nico. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Hi, Danielle. So happy to see you again. This is so wonderful. And I'm so honored when you asked me to be here. So thank you.
You're welcome. I've been reflecting on when we first kind of connected, which was like 3, 4 years ago, so long ago. So, for anyone listening, this was back when I still really wanted to have a podcast, but I didn't think I had the capacity to actually do a podcast. So instead, I chose the harder route of doing an interview series through blog. So I had to transcribe everything, which took way longer than just recording a podcast. Um, but Nico, there is one phrase that you said from that interview that I literally still think about all the time to this day and incorporate into my daily life all the time.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, I have no idea what it is, and I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
You were talking about abundance and money energetics and how women and small businesses tend to put more money into their community. And so there's like a lot of headiness around money for everyone. But the thing that you said, the phrase that you said that you kind of live by was easy come, easy go, let it flow, and just kind of like let the abundance come to you, then give back the abundance with ease because everything is fine. Everything's going to come to you as you need it. And I say that phrase all the time to myself.
That's awesome. That's definitely still a phrase that I um think of as well. And I'm glad that you're reflecting it back to me because just like all of our practices, it's like we practice them for a while, we forget about them, then we come back on track. So that's a good reminder for me right now as well. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, that phrase has served me well as well, served me well because when you're feeling like grippy about things, when you're feeling like grasping and holding, that's like it feels bad to have that energy. So it's just yeah, it's a nice reminder to be open to what's coming, to what's going, and to just kind of be a part of that, like always moving, always shifting energy, like of the universe.
Yeah, it's played a big role in my transition from having like a product-based business to a service-based business because I'm
Hmm.
not doing the vendor markets. I closed my physical shop. I So like the money dynamics changed vastly because it's much more sporadic with just teaching. And so that's something that I've been like really leaning on. It's just like I'm in a transitional period. It's okay. Like I am still putting my time and
Yeah.
money and energy out into my community and it's going to come right back to me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So I would love if you could tell everyone how you came to herbalism, who you are, and what drew you to this lifelong practice.
Sure. Gosh, it's been a long journey. I'll tell you where I'm at now and then maybe go back and tell you how I got here. So I am the creator, proprietor. I don't like saying owner. Someone the other day was like the keeper, and I was like, yes, I'm the keeper of Wild Heart Herb House, which is an herbal apothecary and community gathering space in New Bedford, Massachusetts, on unceded territory of the Wampanoag Nation. It's a absolute dream come true. It's an ivy-covered brick cottage with big doors that's at the entrance to this beautiful public gardens that are kind of a hidden gem of the city. It's in a not an area that you would really think something like this would exist. There's beautiful plantings and a big meadow and a spiral meditation labyrinth garden and a cut flower garden, and it's just an absolute dream to have my herb shop there. We hold classes and gatherings out in the field. We hold retreats where we go foraging. The spiral garden is all native plants and medicinal herbs. So we go foraging in the gardens, make medicine in the shop. It's a really wonderful way for people to connect with nature, connect with themselves, learn about the plants growing around them, and just empowering themselves to take their own care and well-being into their own hands, into their families, into their communities, which I know as herbalists, we are always encouraging and supporting our communities to do just that. So it's been a long journey to get there. I would say this whole path of mine probably started almost 20 years ago. I've always been an entrepreneur. I was actually a clothing designer. I had my own clothing design business where I would sell online and I would sell to boutiques around the country. And I was just feeling very like spiritually and energetically and just not fulfilled. And then it was actually yoga that opened up these all these different pathways, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much to life that I didn't even know existed." So I was probably like in my early 20s when that started. So then just practicing yoga, getting more in touch with my spirituality, which was very much earth-centered and earth-based as it was when I was a young child. So it was really nice to kind of awaken all of that back up. And then through practicing yoga, I worked at a really cool medicinal, a greenhouse that sold medicinal herbs as well. Started getting into herbalism. I did Rosemary Gladstar's correspondence course where you actually like sent papers in the mail to get graded and sent back to you. And it was just reading that thick binder I got in the mail of all of Rosemary's guidance and teachings was like, I would cry all the time reading it because it was just the words I needed to hear. It was just like medicine for my soul, for my spirit. I just resonated with it so deeply. So then after that, I sought out in-person learning opportunities, and I did training with Mary Blue of Pharmacy Herbs in Providence, Rhode Island. Mary's an incredible community herbalist. She's very grassroots. She's very much like here for the community. So I did some trainings with her. She's now a dear friend. I learned a lot from her. And in her classes, I was just like, how do I not know this? Like everyone needs to know this. I can't believe that we're not taught these things. Like don't know how our bodies work. I had to like, Google and watch a YouTube video and like what my liver does. And I'm like, this is absolutely wild that we don't know these things. And of course I know about capitalism and patriarchy, and I've been learning a lot more about all those oppressive systems that we are currently living in that purposefully prevent us from knowing all of these things. So we are more indebted and reliant on the bigger systems and corporations that be. But I felt such a big urge and a big call to share this information with my community. There was another local herbalist in the class with me, Jenny Lee of Common Root Botanicals, and we just started doing pop-up herbalism classes. This had to be, gosh, maybe 2017, 2018. We started doing pop-up classes at cafes, at people's homes, at community centers, and quickly realized that other people in our community were also very much feeling this urge to return back to traditional um, medicine and well-being techniques and practices, and herbalism was right there. And people really feel like this urge, this like ancestral primal urge, like in their hearts, and to connect with plants, to engage more with the wild world around them. And I absolutely love being kind of the bridge of I want something, there's something missing, I know there's something more, and then maybe being like, hi, this is what it is, it's right here. So I like to think of myself, especially with my herb shop now, we've been open for almost 2 years. Yeah, so those classes led to different online offerings that I've done, which we have worked on before together in. And then, yeah, it was almost 2 years ago when I opened my brick and mortar shop, and I really love being like the welcome sign, like the welcome office or whatever you want to call it, like when you're driving on the highway, and it's like the Massachusetts welcome branch or whatever it is. And I like to be that for herbalism. People come in and they're just like, I've been wanting to do this. And I'm like, let me show you how. And just seeing their faces light up and just feeling like this peace just settles in their bodies of just like them feeling so excited and inspired to begin their own herbal healing journey as well. It's really wonderful.
There is nothing better than seeing someone's face light up like when they're first introduced to something and it like clicks like with the plants. Oh, that feeling.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that happens all the time. People are coming in and just being like, "What is this place?" Because the building itself, it's the words I hear the most are like magical, like really special, like the energy here is just amazing. And that's all the plants, and then, of course, my own energy and the people in the shop kind of imbuing it in that as well. But it really opens this like, when I was wanting to open my shop, I joked and was like, I just want to have a witch's cottage in the woods, thinking like that was something that was not possible. And then this is what the shop is. It's a witch's cottage in the woods in the city. And I'm like, I can't even believe this place exists. And it's just been such an oasis of just good vibes and authenticity, and people showing up like as themselves and where they are, and being vulnerable and being honest, and tears shed and hugs given and lots of tea drank. And it's been a really people are feeling the call. They don't know what they're looking for, but they're feeling a pull towards something. And I really love helping them find what it is that they're looking for.
Yeah, I can just tell even just like visually looking at the pictures and videos of the shop that I'm just like, oh, just it's I can feel it. It's so
Yeah,
tangible.
good, good, good.
So I know even before you opened your shop, you've always been very community centered, and I know that you use the title community herbalist. I would love to hear about how that kind of shapes your work and what that means in your practice.
Oh, sure. That's a great question. So just from a very like academic standpoint, I call myself a community herbalist because I have not had clinical herbalism training. That's like the short answer. But also, I like as I previously said, like I like being that introduction. I like being that like first step. Before I opened the shop, when I was looking for a location, I looked for a location for over a year without luck. So then I was exploring like, okay, well maybe this isn't going to work out, and like what else can I do? And I explored the idea of becoming a clinical herbalist, which would be more working with clients one-on-one. And I joined Monday Mentoring, which is a really amazing program by herbalist Camille Freeman, who is a very experienced, very knowledgeable clinical herbalist. And then I would be on these calls with other clinical herbalists, and it was a place for people to be like, to discuss, to kind of ask questions about tricky, quick cases they have, or just being like, I have a client that's experiencing this. Like, I'm looking for advice. And just through those calls, I quickly realized, like, this is not what I want to do at all. My passion is not, and it is some people's passions, and I'm so glad that it is because that work is also very needed. But it is not my passion to get into the nitty gritty and kind of work on complicated cases when there's like hormonal issues or pharmaceuticals also involved. It just was like, that's just not for me. So I, through doing that, it even landed even more my position as a community herbalist. What that means to me is just a person being in the community, guiding people to begin their herbal journeys, also offering support, generalized nervous system support. I think any clinical herbalist would agree that that's often the place where you need to start anyways. The most common things I see when people come into the shop are anxiety, trouble sleeping, and digestive issues. And those are all very intricately related. I've been really thinking a lot lately about how a lot of sleep herbs are also bitters. And I'm like, there's definitely some connection here when the medicine that helps us or the herbs that help us fall asleep are also herbs that are helping our gut. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot going on here. So I often find that supporting people just kind of restore and balance their nervous system is an excellent place to start to kind of, and then that has, effects throughout the whole body as well. So you might be having a digestive issue, you might be having a hormonal issue, you might be having a sleep issue, but if we can just find more peace and space and robustness in your nervous system, it's going to have positive effects in all of those other aspects of your life as well. So, nervous system support has been my main focus of study and education and practices in my own life for many, many years. So, just through my own seeking out trainings and information, my own experience on myself and my family, and my own experience sharing with my community and then hearing their feedback, I feel very confident in my ability to support people in their nervous systems. And I also, even within herbalism, there can be like allopathic and holistic approaches. So I'm very holistic in the sense that I want to guide and empower people to start doing their own research, to start tuning into their own bodies, to start trying out different teas and what works for them. I don't want the responsibility, nor do I think it is mine to hold, caring for other people. I think it's best and really empowering and really powerful when people take that their own care into their own hands, and into their to helping out their family as well. It's really just like a confidence building, um, really, beautiful way to interact with their own bodies and their own minds and their own spirits with the support of the herbs themselves. So, yeah, I like being the person who's in the community that has the knowledge of where people can get started, and I love sharing that knowledge with my community.
Like you said, being that welcome committee
Yeah, it's a welcome
for the
sign.
community.
Herbalism welcome sign.
That's so funny. Super true about the bitters and the nervous system. I just taught a digestive support class last week, and half the class was on nervous systems and nervine bitters and the enteric brain and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like we just live in this world where we're just overstimulated, overscheduled. There's just everyone's nervous system can use a lot of support. And oftentimes it's also nutritional as well, like nettle and oat straw. I'm just like, everyone drink nettle and oat straw. We'll add a couple more herbs to the mix as well. Because so often, like, as you know, vitamins and minerals are just like the fuel for our body to, to find balance and to do all the complicated steps that are needed for our health and well-being. So oftentimes it's like we just need more vitamins and minerals like in our life and in our diet to help our body effectively do all the complex functions that it's doing all the time. So often just that, a little bit of nervous system support, a little bit of bulking up on vitamins and minerals can have a very profound impact in a short amount of time.
Yeah, our modern food is so sweet, hyper processed. We're not getting that bitter mechanism going through our body. We're not getting the adequate minerals and vitamins and yeah, that's why we need
Yeah,
more.
and just with monocropping, like even if you're buying even if you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables from the grocery store, it just doesn't have the nutritional content, that it did 50, 100 years ago. Where I live, I'm very lucky. There's lots of small local organic farms that remineralize the soil, that do crop rotations so their vegetables have the vitamins and minerals that one would expect. But unfortunately, it's not the case for a lot of the food that we have available to us.
Yeah, it's the same here in Tennessee. We have a lot of really good farms, especially
That's
locally
awesome.
around my city, where our
Yeah.
farmers market is awesome.
Yeah. So eat local, support your local growers. That's also something that I recommend to people that come in the shop all the time.
I'd like to focus on your classes and your physical apothecary for a little bit before we move more into plant specific. Because I think that a big part of your message is creating like safe space, no expectations, no judgments, kind of weaving in like that community base, but like true community, not pick and choosing who's in your community. So I'd love to hear about what that looks like in terms of herbal education and how we can make these kinds of spaces more welcoming and more accessible to everyone.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's definitely something that we've been doing at the shop. And also, like, just to say, this is new to me as well. Like, we don't have robust community support and resilience like in general. There's none of that like third space that's not like a place of commerce. Other sort of gathering spaces like libraries are one, but even like coffee shops, bars, like places where people get together. An expectation of purchasing something is usually presumed in those situations. But then also to balance that these places, my herb shop included, do need to make money to exist. So it's always kind of like this balance that we're working on all the time at Wild Heart. So at the shop, we have educational workshops that I teach. We bring in other teachers to teach other, what they wish to share. And then for this year, we've been experimenting with staying open later on Friday night. So we're open till 8 o'clock. And every Friday night, we have some sort of different type of community gathering. And it rotates there's, 4 gatherings we kind of host once a month. It started with an open mic poetry night that we've been doing for a while. The poet laureate of New Bedford, this offers open mic poetries throughout the city. And for some reason, even though I'm not much of a poet, although I have been writing a little bit now because this is happening at the shop, um, I was like, this would be amazing to have at Wild Heart. So she does host an open mic poetry, and it's been amazing. The things that people share is just it's so emotional, it's so heartfelt, it's really deep and raw and vulnerable. And just because of the energy that we've created in the space, but also just the energy that the plants can hold, um, I hear from her all the time that like people read for the first time at Wild Heart. Because they feel comfortable enough and they feel like it's a safe space for them to be vulnerable. And I'm think that's just I'm so honored by that. We also have a queer community, like TEA at the end, gathering once a month. As a queer person who doesn't like, the bar scene, I just wanted there to be another sort of space, and it's been really wonderful. We're inside in the shop. It's cold or raining, but then all summer we've been out in the gardens, and it's just been an absolute dream to be gathering with like-hearted individuals. We drink tea, we pull oracle cards. I have like arts and crafts supplies, so we like make collages or crochet and draw. And it's just a really kind of different kind of hangout um, because people come out, and whenever I see someone coming by themselves, I like honor their bravery. I'm like, it's so brave to come to a new place by yourself without knowing anybody, and I'm so honored whenever that happens because I'm like, I'm succeeded in creating this space and this vibe that is welcoming and people feel comfortable coming to and being at. We also have, we call it CATS, and CATS has many, like CATS, and it has many abbreviations, but one of them is like craft and talk shit. So that's been a once a month gathering as well. And I'll just tell you a little bit more about what happened this past month. We held it a couple weeks ago. It's kind of turning into imagining a new reality and like imagining a new future for us all that we all, cooperative, community-based future. And this is something that I've been thinking about for many, many years. So it was a couple weeks ago, we just sat out in the gardens and we reflected on Adrienne Marie Brown's book, Emergent Strategy, which is amazing and highly recommended. And in that book, she talks about how like right now we're living in someone else's imagination. Like our society, someone else imagined, and like now we're living in it and it's made up. So then I'm just like, well, it sucks in a lot of ways. So why can't we just like make up this isn't real. Like this is made up. So let's make up something else that is supportive of more people, that is more inclusive, that isn't extractive, that doesn't harm people and harm the planet. Like we have the power to do that. So getting together with other people, we're sitting in a circle, we're surrounded by plants, the birds are chirping, there's tons of bunnies in the garden, so they're around us, and we're just sitting in this beautiful space, connecting to ourselves, connecting to the earth, and just imagining using our own imagination and our own creativity to explore other ways of being. That's kind of how we get there. That's how we create a new future is by coming together and imagining what that could be together. And that feels really inspiring and really powerful. And it just kind of takes away a bit of the hopelessness that we can very often feel in these oppressive systems that we are, engaged in all the time just because we live, where we do. So that's been really like, wow. And that's something that's evolved organically because we just decided to open our space and have people come together and create a space for these kind of deeper conversations to happen. And I'm like, after the other night, I was like, wow, this is really important. Like, this is the work. This is the beginning steps. I brought up that, like, yeah, we all have this dream of this like communal living situation where we're like in the woods, we're growing our food, we're sharing meals, we're sharing childcare and elder care. We're growing food, we're having bonfires, we're celebrating the moons and the seasons and all of these beautiful things. But there's 1,000 steps that come before that. And we are in those 1,000 steps right now. And meeting in a garden and discussing what could be is definitely one of those 1,000 steps. So it feels really empowering to be doing something instead of just wishing that things were different.
I remember in our very first like talk, like years and years ago, one of the other things you brought up was like this idea that whatever you dream of the future being like, you've already experienced that in another life. And so it's like you're remembering what could happen in this life. It was very similar to that. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And those are themes and ideas that I've been exploring within my own life even more. I work with this teacher in Australia, Carly Steffen, and she, we it's a lot about like timelines and universal energy. And honestly, a lot of times it's over my head also, but then I'm just open to receiving and understanding it as much as I can. And she talks about that, before us and around us is just this web of, she calls it a grid. For me, it makes more sense that it's a web of just like every single possibility that could ever happen. It's just like infinite, infinite, infinite. It's just like laid out all around us. And through the decisions that we make in our day-to-day life, kind of lights up the path in front of us. So every decision that you make, can potentially lead to a different outcome. So we don't give much credit to our little decisions, but it really is those little day-to-day decisions that guide us to the future. You think about like time travel movies and they're just like, oh, we don't change anything because it could change the entire future, which, yeah, is true. But then in the present moment, we don't think like this little thing I do now is going to have this wild effect into the future. But that's kind of like the same thing that's happening. So yeah, I do think about that all the time. And then if you get real, like, and even like when I start contemplating like the size of the universe and like infinite possibilities and dimensions, my brain is like, does not compute, does not compute. But if you can just hold the idea of just like every single infinite possibility has already happened and is concurrently happening, like in this moment right now, we're just experiencing this particular way of being in this moment. It's really like, yeah, we can do anything because it already exists and it already has happened. And I do believe that you wouldn't have the capacity to imagine or dream something if it wasn't possible. Like I think what you're referring to is something I wrote about like our passions and our dreams are like little, like our inspiration to get there are like little lights along the way from like our future self being like, these are the steps you take to get here. And you just need to follow those little sparkles along your pathway to get to where you want to go. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's a no-brainer. I'm not saying it's like one and done. It's a lifelong journey of like trusting yourself, of following the sparkles, listening to your intuition, and taking action.
Yeah, that when you were sharing that story about that reimagining practice, like gathering that you do at your shop, it made me think of when you said that, where you guys are kind of like, I can't even describe it. Like you're layering it all in, like you're doing that practice in real life with a group, just which sounds crazy because of the amount of like energy output for that kind of like reimagining.
Yes.
So cool.
Yes, exactly. It's like it's a beautiful, beautiful practice to have within yourself, but then when other people get involved, like you said, it only magnetizes it. And like, how often do we feel like the only one or like you're alone? And that's disempowering. And you're just like, well, what's the point? I'm the only one that thinks that way. I got recent feedback from a retreat that we did from someone that was just like, I always thought I was crazy and that I was the only one who thought thoughts like this. But then I came to the retreat and I was like, wow, there are other people that feel the same way as I do. And like she had so much more exuberance and so much more confidence, and she felt so much less alone because she came together in community with other people who felt the way that she did. And like that added brightness to her existence, which adds brightness to the world around her and everyone else she encounters, and just maybe gives her a little bit more of a push to follow her own intuition instead of feeling like she's crazy and no one else thinks like this.
Yeah, and then getting that feedback for you, like as the facilitator of these community gatherings, is also huge and feeds you because it is so hard sometimes when, you're trying and you're trying and you're trying, but like you don't get, the outcome that you want, or maybe not as many people at an event that you were thinking, and sometimes that can be really disheartening. So to hear those like beautiful moments that your community and students are having is just helping you to continue on with your mission as well.
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. There are so many challenging times and challenging moments, and all of the things I'm saying out loud right now are often things that I need to remind myself of as well when I'm having like a dark moment or feeling like, what's the point? Which definitely exists also.
I have a list on my computer of little phrases from different students of like things that made me
Oh,
feel really good in the moment so that when I start feeling
oh,
really down on myself, I'll go pull that list up and I'm just like, okay, it's still good. I'm making an impact. It's okay.
that is a really good idea. That's a really good idea. I think I'm gonna do that as well.
Yeah, because there's been some feedback from students that made me cry like in the moment, and I'm a natural crier, like
Same.
it is what it is. But it's also kind of embarrassing when students are like, "Oh, I had this amazing experience," and I'm just like, "Okay, let me just sob through it." But yeah, like reading back that feedback kind of helps give you some energy and fire in those moments when you're maybe starting to doubt yourself.
Definitely. Definitely.
So, connecting back to the plants, I know you taught, obviously, we just went through this whole like spiritual discussion.
It's all connected. It's all
Absolutely.
connected. It's all related.
Yeah, so how do you weave spiritual and intuitive practices into herbalism without alienating people who are new to those kind of ideas?
I just make it seem totally normal. Like it's not even a big deal at all. Um, I fully call myself a witch. I talk about spiritual practices in the same way I would tell somebody how to make a tomato basil salad. It's like just normal and commonplace. And that just normalizes it. Like, I don't have any shame. I've had very strong spiritual practices for many years. They're just part of my regular life. And I love just sharing about them, just like it's totally normal. Because to me, it is. It's not this like thing that's like over there. It's like very much, front and center, like in my chest, in my body, in my field. And I hear from people all the time that they can, they feel my energy. Like the people can feel it themselves so that or they walk in the shop and they're like, "Oh my God, it feels so good in here." And I'm like, just the fact that you're connecting to that means that you like that spirit, that's energy, that's ether, that's source, whatever you want to call it. There's something that we can't see that we interact with all the time. And when people start to have those experiences themselves, it just normalizes and realizes it even more. So I tell people just in reflecting on herbalism or I have this tea blend called Heart Mend. And it was something that I do custom tea blends behind the counter. And when I first opened, so many people were coming in with like grief and despair and just feeling heavy-hearted. Um, and whether that's grief of losing a loved one, but I think COVID brought a lot of grief because it just kind of shifted people's lives a lot in ways that they weren't expecting. So maybe it was like they have grief for a path that wasn't able to be taken, or a goal that wasn't able to be achieved, or a relationship that didn't work out. So I started making this blend. hawthorn and rose and linden and hibiscus and nettle. There might be some milky oats in there as well. But it was just this blend that I was formulating again and again and again. So I decided to like actually formulate it, make labels, put it on the shelf, and it's one of our top selling tea blends. But one of the things that I tell people about it, I say this is like cardiovascular system support. Like this is supporting the physical cells of your body that can be quantified, that can be seen under a microscope. But it's also supporting your emotional and energetic heart. And I often say, like, that's why herbalism is so effective. And that's why herbalism is so wonderful. And one of my favorite things about it is that the plants are complex, multidimensional beings just like we are. So they don't just support our physical bodies. They support our emotional bodies, our energetic bodies, our intellectual bodies. They work on all of the levels and all of the layers of ourselves. And sometimes when people even take a sip of it, they're like, oh, I feel it right here. And they put their hand on their heart. And I'm like, yeah, that's the energy of the plants. That's kind of the bridge to the, I mean, paranormal isn't the right word, but just the bridge to like the other than, mainstream culture will admit kind of thing. So I always have on our little coffee table in our like we have a little living room kind of set up area in the shop. Like that's where we teach classes and have gatherings. And I have a little mini altar set up. It's like a wooden board with this sweet little cauldron that my friend made. And I always have a candle lit, and I always have some pine or some juniper or some rosemary, mugwort burn. Because burning herbs is like a big part of my spiritual practice of just like connection and grounding. So, I'll burn herbs, or people will see me do that and they'll ask me what I'm doing, or I'll invite them to try it. And people are really like, it's so deep in our ancestry to like connect to fire and like to be around a fire, like burning herbs. Like that's one of the oldest practices in existence is like burning plants. Like humans have been doing that for so long. So that's a really beautiful bridge because people just feel that connection. They feel like this feels good to be doing this. So I think that's another way of doing it is just giving people the opportunity to just do really simple practices. I'm not a witch in like the pagan, like Wiccan tradition. I definitely have like my own spirituality and my own practices that I just feel called to do, and I listen to that. Like lately, I've been doing this beautiful like breathing um visualizing technique with like burning rosemary and like letting it kind of like go into my heart, and then I pull it away, and like so it's kind of like a little cleanse. I can just feel it going in there and just kind of moving, kind of swirling things around, and then whatever the detritus, whatever needs to leave, just kind of like gets pulled away. And that's not anything. I just made that up. I just felt like doing it one day, and I was like, oh, it felt really good to do it. So I kept on doing that. But I encourage people to like be barefoot outside or just to out, be outside. Like that is number one. Just be outside. Our bodies are naturally connected to the earth, and just allowing ourselves to start to feel that is a huge step. Yeah, so I just approach it like it's completely normal and no big deal because it's not. And that I think normalizes it and makes it seem accessible to everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as like crazy when it's so ingrained in your life to where you forget how strange it is to someone else. That happens to me all the time. I'll say something and then I'm like, Oh yeah, plant communication isn't a normal part of this like modern world. I forgot how strange that sounds sometimes, like different things like that.
Right, but if you talk about it confidently, like it is completely normal, then it seems normal. And then obviously we can have a whole conversation of like what even is normal and like normal doesn't even exist. But for lack of better words in the English language, we'll use that word.
Yeah, co common, I guess, or yeah,
Common. Yeah, mainstream, overculture. Yeah.
the current norm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this kind of stuff was normal a while ago.
Right, right, right. I don't ever um herbalism is not alternative medicine. I refuse to use that phrase. Like Western medicine is the alternative medicine. Herbalism has been practiced by every single person on this planet's ancestors for thousands of years. And the World Health Organization estimates today in 2025 80%, 80% of the world's population practices plant medicine as their main form of medicine. So we are just so conditioned to think otherwise. But yeah, herbalism to this day is still the most practiced form of medicine on this planet.
As it should be. It's the
Yeah,
original medicine. It's the only
yeah.
medicine.
It's the medicine that like our bodies literally evolved with the plants. Like we are co-adaptive creatures.
Yeah,
That's
tied
why it
back
works
into
so well.
community. It's not just human community, it's plant community, it's animal
Yep.
community.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
I love that rosemary practice that you were talking about. That's
Rosemary smoke, it seriously goes right into my heart. It's like I felt it immediately when I started doing that like years ago. And it's just like when I'm gonna put a little post on Instagram to be like, hey, who has a rosemary plant? I want some like clippings to like have at the shop. Because it's one of my favorite herbs to dry and burn.
I don't think I've ever burned rosemary before.
Oh, go for
I'm gonna have to.
it. Yeah.
So other than rosemary, is there a plant that you feel especially connected to right now? And what kind of lessons have you learned from it?
Oh gosh. I mean, that's like asking a mother like which of her children is the favorite kind of question. So it's hard to answer, but I will say that different herbs show up at different times. Um, and I'll just go back to the rose. I work mostly with Rosa rugosa, which is wild beach rose that grows all along the coastline where I live. It's like bright fuchsia. It's so beautiful. I'm a total beach person, summer baby. Like that's my glory. Like that's where I want to be. So being at the beach and then the roses right there, it's such a oh, it's so wonderful. And they're always blooming. My birthday's at the beginning of July, so they're always like blooming at my birthday. It's just a medicine that I've really loved and connected with over the years. So Rose has really held me through a lot of things. And I would say this is probably when, gosh, it's been years now. My grandmother, who I was really close to, passed away right around the start of COVID, but it was un-COVID related. So now I'm thinking back, like that was already 5 years ago, which is wild. And a friend had given me some Rosa rugosa, like she made beach rose glycerite, which is really wonderful, like emotional heart medicine. And after my meme died, I had this Rosa rugosa glycerite, and I was just taking it. And I also had um, previous to this gone on this really amazing like spirit guide connection, like meditation, and Rosa came to me then. So I was just kind of going through this like connection to Rose. And I was actually doing international yoga retreats then. So I had a retreat planned. It was already like filled up. That happened in Belize 3 weeks after her passing. And um, I was like, should I even go? And I was like, no, I want to go. So it was actually going was act I was co-facilitating it, thank God, because I could not have held that space all by myself. And it was actually really nice to like be away and to really like allow my grief to move through me. And we're talking about money, easy come, easy go. Grief is another like easy come, easy go, let it flow. It's like you just have to let it move through you. You have to let it rise up and feel it and then roll back down. So that week was a expansive week. It was a depth of sorrow and despair week. But it was really beautiful for all the depths and the complexities that it was holding. And I remember one time in the evening, I was sitting on the beach, like sobbing, like a wave had arisen, and I was just like really feeling like the depths of my sorrow and the depths of my despair and like the depths of like yearning. Um, I'm getting a little emotionally thinking about the depths of my yearning to see someone again. And I think we all know what that feels like. And it was just so powerful and so severe. And I was sitting on this beautiful beach in Belize, and then I looked up and it was at sunset. The sky is so many colors. The sunset is reflecting on the ocean, and there's dolphins playing in the water, in the multicolored water from the sunset. And in that moment, I can even feel it now, even just thinking back of it. I felt my heart like crack open, and I felt it just got bigger. Like it just got big enough to hold these kind of opposite emotions. Like I'm on one end, I'm feeling this like deep grief and sorrow and despair, and on the other end with like the dolphins and the sunset and the beach, and it was absolute joy and gratitude for being in this moment, experiencing this sensations of my body, like being in this place. And I was just like, oh, I felt this like opening, and then I felt myself holding both of these things simultaneously. Um, and I realized that they're the same thing. They're the same thing, just the opposite, not even opposite, just different places on the spectrum of this wider, being of love. It's like the grief is love, the gratitude is love, the sorrow is love, the joy is love. It's all this same thing. And that's what rose medicine to me is. And that's how it helps us process big feelings, hold opposite feelings. And like in my Heart Men tea that I was talking about, it's like the rose creates space for us to hold the complexities of our human existence, and allows us to be more than one thing and feel more than one thing at the same time. I've been on a journey of both and for years. And by that, I mean, in our culture, it's like competitive. It's like, even we're always asking kids, like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? Like, we're making ourselves choose and hierarch things. I don't know if that's a word, but it made sense in that context. Um, and, our culture is very either or. Like, you need to pick one. You need to be one thing. You need to pick one. And I'm just been on a journey of both and, meaning like I don't want to pick. I want both and even more than that. So rose is definitely like a both and plant, because and then obviously it goes so much deeper with like the petals and the thorns and the generosity and the boundaries. Like it's so deep and so expansive. And I'm always learning like more of like the little connections of it. So that's an example of how I'm always like learning, with the plants, connecting with them spiritually, allowing them to be guides, but also just like archetypes of ways of being um, in the world.
I love rose. Rose is one of my like soul plants as well. Like it's always come
Right.
around in cycles to teach me new lessons.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for a lot of people, which is another reason why I lean into it because it's usually like a very loud plant, and by that I mean people feel the call to it, people feel connected to it, people have associations with it. I was gonna say ironically, but maybe not ironically. It's like a very like grandmotherly like a lot of people like my grandma's name is Rose. Like it just has this like caring, like yeah, I'm always even just like last year or the year before we did a rose spirit meditation at the shop and I had a whole experience with my meme and with Rose and discovered even more of the connections that I wasn't seeing the first time around, which is again, just to go back to herbalism, that's one of the things I love about it. As someone who loves learning and like having new experiences, it's a lifelong practice. Like you're never gonna know everything, you're never gonna know all there is to know, which I think is actually really exciting and inspiring.
I totally forgot about the grandmother connection because my grandmother used to grow like tons of roses, all sorts of different colors, all sorts of different cultivars. I mean, she had like 30 plus. And for the longest time, I
Amazing.
would think rose and I would think of her. And I kind of forgot about that until you brought that back up. So that's so cool.
Yeah, it has this like protective, beautiful crone energy for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Have you noticed a difference in feeling between the different types of rose?
Um, You know, I can't I can't say that I've like experimented with that too much. Um but I do feel I guess different levels of connection. Yeah, like I definitely feel the most connected to Rosa rugosa. Rosa multiflora, which people is like, I'm holding up air quotes like invasive,
That's what we have here.
that is everywhere. Yeah, I've made a little bit of, but that's just a plant that I just feel like, it's like when you start looking at people at plants like as people, you're like, I know you, but I don't know you as well as I know this other person. And it's not good, bad, or anything else. It's just a different level of connection. For like our tea blend. So I make tinctures and glycerites and elixirs at the shop with Rosa rugosa that I harvest. But it's not sustainable for me to like put that in all of our tea blends. So I do purchase, I think it's Damascus rose dried petals that we're using in our tea blends. And yeah, maybe I should try do a little meditation or just kind of connect with that rose specifically. I mean, I think they all have general, similarities, but I'm sure there's definitely like nuanced differences between them. So maybe I'll explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, I can feel a difference between I have like landscape roses that were here when we
Mhm.
bought the house, and then I have a few patches of like the wild rose, and I can feel the difference, but I also sometimes think that maybe I am making myself feel a difference because it's
Mhm.
like, oh, one's natural versus one's from Lowe's, like I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time differentiating between that. But I think they're
Yeah.
for me, like they're like you said, like it's a personal connection of like what you have to that plant. Like I still love my landscape roses, but I get way more excited when I see the other roses.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure.
So as we start to wrap up, I would love to hear some tips for baby herbalists or even people who've been on the path for a while of like different daily practices that they can incorporate or seasonal rituals to help them connect to the plants on a deeper level.
I love that. So going back to just like nervous system support, and this is something I've been teaching for years. I have a class that's called Plants for Radical Herbalism for Radical Self-Care, and it's about addressing the bigger systems at play, and that how I don't want people to. We so often do the what's wrong with me thing. Like we're feeling away and we internalize it and think it's individual and we're like, what's wrong with me? And this was also something that came up at Cats the other day when I was just like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're actually having a completely normal, healthy response to our world. Like your nervous system is working appropriately because of all of the, atrocities happening everywhere and like the stress we're put under and just modern living and all of the things. So while addressing that this is not your fault, this is not has nothing to do with anything is wrong with you, because that's not the case. Your nervous system is working appropriately in these situations. However, there are practices that you can begin to incorporate into your life that will offer you some deep nourishment and care. And I'll just talk about the top three that I think are really easy and accessible. The first is drinking herbal infusions. I've got my quart jar of tea right here. So that's where I recommend everyone start. Like I previously mentioned, I think nettle and oat straw are amazing herbal allies for most people. Our house blend that I'm drinking right now, that I've been drinking for years, it's one of my absolute favorite tea blends. It's nettle, oat straw, lemon balm, tulsi, and peppermint. So it's nervous system support, endocrine system support, digestive support, loaded with vitamins and minerals. Whenever people come in, I'm like, start there. Drink a quart of that every day for a couple weeks. You're going to feel completely different after doing it. So that's the drinking the tea is where it's easy, accessible, it's accessible, it's inexpensive, it's available to everyone. If you're lucky enough to have a yard or an herb garden, you can grow your own herbs, make your own tea, and like what an absolute delight that is. But of course, you can purchase herbs from many different places, including like my herb shop, which is something that we definitely provide. So drinking the herbal tea. The other one is herbal body oiling. It's such a great way to connect with your body as women, as people in this world. Like we are so conditioned to like find what's wrong with our body, not like our bodies, wish they looked a different way. And then just herbal body oiling. So I make herbal infused oils. You don't even have to infuse the oils. You can just use olive oil or sunflower oil or coconut oil. And it's just a practice. Some people like to do it before they shower. That's more of like an Ayurvedic practice of getting the oil into your skin. I do it after I bathe. And I just rub oil all over my whole body. My favorite oil is one we sell at the shop. I call her a full bloom body oil because it's all flowers. It's calendula, chamomile, lavender, and rose. So it's all just like beautiful. And that's in sunflower oil. So that's the oil I use on myself. I just rub it all over my whole body. I'm moving blood. I'm moving lymph. I'm touching myself. When I do my low back, I say hi to my kidneys. I say hi to my belly. I tell my belly that is, the size that it is. I say, I love you, belly. And it just is like a practice of self-love and of like moving energy within your body. And just like making tea, it's taking the time to care for yourself. And that gives your nervous system and like signs of like you're important, you're worth taking care of. And that over time just naturally builds confidence. So all of these practices are so multi-layered. So it's like moisturizing my skin and building confidence. And I'm noticing like, oh, I feel tight here, or there's a lump here, or I have a new freckle here. So it's just a way to connect with your body. And then the third being smoke medicine, burning the herbs, like I mentioned. Smell was one of the first senses that humans developed. And I'm gonna not know the exact part of your brain, that the exact name of it, but basically your sense of smell bypasses the language part of your brain because your language part of your brain like developed after your sense of smell did. Our sense of smell is like so deep in our human evolution. So that's why when you smell a smell, you're like, it brings you right back to like another place that you've been where you smelled that smell. And it's really hard to describe smell because it just isn't connected to our words. So I feel so grounded, so connected, so of the earth. When I burn herbs, like I said, rosemary is a favorite. I don't use Palo Santo or white sage just for like cultural appropriation and like over harvesting reasons. But mugwort, even dried lemon balm, any sort of evergreen, even garden sage. Garden sage is great to burn. Anything like that, it's like you just dry it out. I don't really do bundles so much as I do just like a leaf or bay leaves. I've been really liking burning bay leaves lately. And I just have a candle. Like my little evening ritual is after I put my son to bed, I have a little altar area set up in my room and I light a candle. Sometimes I just watch the flame for a little bit. I have a little cauldron and I'll burn rosemary, I'll burn sage, and I just smell the smell, and just smelling it really allows me to feel really grounded and centered in my body. Then I usually like do some stretching or do some yoga or journal or meditate or whatever I feel called to do. But that's a beautiful way to like initiate a self-care practice. And all of these things can be done with plants that are growing around you and like things you can buy at the grocery store. So herbalism is does not have to be extractive. It does not have to be far away. It does not have to be fancy. It's more about connecting with yourself and connecting with the world around you. So those are my three ways that I think are easy, accessible, the drinking herbal infusions, the herbal body oiling, and like the herbal burning. Those are, I think, really great ways for new people getting new into herbalism and also reminders for those of us who've been practicing for a really long time.
I love that. I tend to burn whatever's growing on my property. So I have an
Yeah.
eastern red cedar tree and then
Oh,
American
yeah.
sycamore, which like sheds its bark all the time. So I have just piles of American sycamore bark in my house just to burn whenever
Oh,
I.
cool.
Yeah, it's super
That's
cool.
awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited that we got to connect again.
Too. Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be like as a business owner, it's we have to wear many hats and hold many things. So like I also have to like do bookkeeping and process invoices and cash flow and all of that. And then also I'm talking to plants and like laying out in the field. So it's like that's the rose right there also is like holding all of these things, all of these different aspects. I really enjoyed this conversation. It allowed me to kind of get more into like the spiritual side and the plant side, which is a huge part of my life, but like I said, there's those other business aspects that need to be tended. So this was really a nice conversation to remind me of why I'm doing all of these things.
Oh, good. Lastly, can you share with the listeners where they can find you if you have anything coming up and how they can work with you in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So our website is wildheartherbhouse.com. That's also our Instagram page. You can find, so right now we're getting ready for holiday shopping time. We have some live music at the shop coming up in October. And then we'll be having lots of we're focusing more on our products and our tea blends, making little fun kits for holiday shopping. We hold retreats In the spring and summer, we have an herb fest that actually just happened. In the fall, where we have all different local teachers come and share their experience, and vendors and practitioners popping up. It's a really, really fun day just to be out in the garden and just to get to know your local herbalism community. I may be teaching another like business series, which I know you've participated in the winter time, because I want to share my many, many years worth of being an entrepreneur knowledge and experience with others, because again, this is imagining our collective future where small businesses are thriving, where we're supporting one another. I think people being able to offer their gifts is a really powerful way to contribute to that. So I like to share the things I've learned along the way with other budding entrepreneurs. So yeah, you can purchase all of our top selling products on our website. And if you're in the southeastern Massachusetts area or around, or you're visiting the area, I would absolutely love for you to come visit Wild Heart Herb House in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nico.
Thank you.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my chat with Nico as much as I did, and that you learned from her wisdom. She is a very knowledgeable herbalist, and I just love hearing her insight. I hope that you get to try some of her practices that she suggested. And if you'd like to find out more about her, you can go to her website at wildheartherbhouse.com, or find her on Instagram at wild.heart.herb.house. If you would like to learn more about my classes and offerings, you can find them at rootandwandercollective.com, and I'll see you along the plant path.